Welcome to What's Cooking at Gloucester County Library System. I'm Carolyn, and today I'm going to teach you how to make strawberry jam. So what you would need to make strawberry jam, and if you're planning on canning it, is a canner, some jelly jars, the lids that come with the jelly jars, and the screw tops. You'll also need some fresh Jersey strawberries. You'll want to take the green top, the stem off, and rinse it thoroughly because Jersey strawberries tend to be a little sandy. I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. You'll want some Sure Gel or Certo. I'm using the liquid Certo, and some sugar. And it does call for a little butter if you don't like this foaming at the top. So I went ahead and measured 7 cups of sugar, and I put that off to the side. If you've never made jam before, you're going to be in for a shock for how much sugar you're actually going to use to make your jam. So what I'm going to do is just take some of my strawberries and put them in my clear bowl here. And I'm going to smash them just to make them, prepare them for jam. If you have a food processor, which I don't, you can run them through that as well, and it'll make it nice and chopped up. So, but I just use this little gadget. Our recipe calls for 8 cups of strawberries crushed. Actually, crushed, it's asking for 4, so I'm glad I reread my recipe. So it's 8 cups of strawberries, but when you crush them, it's 4. So what we're going to do, we have, it says use dry measuring cup to measure exact amount of prepared fruit, or use a liquid measuring cup to measure exact amount of prepared juice if you were using juice instead of fruit. And then measure exact amount of sugar in a separate bowl. And then step 3 says, and then do not, it's really strict about not decreasing the sugar amount. I know it's hard to use that much sugar, but don't decrease it. And then it says add the sugar to prepared fruit or juice mix and add a half a teaspoon of butter to reduce foaming, and bring to full boil onto our stove. So, and let's go ahead. Here's my pot. So we're going to add our 4 cups of crushed strawberries. So here's my dry measuring cup. And I think that's pretty crushed. It's 1, 2, 3, not too bad. Just a tad more. 4. Okay, let's go ahead and put this off to the side. And now we're going to add our sugar right to it. So here's our 7 cups of sugar. And then we're going to stir it. And then we'll bring that to boil with a little half a teaspoon once I have it stirred in nice. See if I can show you what that looks like. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that to full boil on the stove behind me. In the back here, you don't see it, but I do have my, well, I thought I had my canner going. So the canner you fill to about 3/4. And in the back I have boiling water, so that way I'm going to put the lids of my jelly jars in there. So let's move this off to the side. And I need to add my butter, which it said a half a teaspoon. I'm going to take a little bit to get that in a full rolling boil. And also to get our canner going. I thought I had that. Oh, it's pretty hot. Let me go ahead and while that's happening, I'm going to add some lids to the back burner. So after this comes to a full boil for 1 minute, I'll put the timer on. We'll be adding the pectin quickly and stir that in. And once that heats up, it'll boil for 1 minute exactly. And then we're ready to put that in our jelly jars. Once then we'll put it in the canner and lower it down. It will cook for 10 minutes, it says, for jam, since we're making jam instead of jelly. Our lids are boiling in the back, so I'm just going to turn that down. Our strawberries are now boiling. It took a little bit, so we're going to let that boil for 1 minute. I went ahead and put our timer on for 1 minute, and then I'll cut the pouch and we'll stir in the Surto. So here's our Surto. Just going to cut the top and just squeeze it in there. Now be careful when you're buying your Surto, check the expiration date, because I have picked up Surto recently, well, last season, and it expired pretty quickly, so I had to throw out 3 containers of Surto. So now I'm going to put my timer on again, this time for just 1 minute. Start, and our lids should be at a gentle boil in the back of my stove. So this looks a little more calm. That Shore gel seems to have calmed it down. Okay. I'm going to pull this off the stove, and I'm going to just grab a bowl so I can skip off the top. So now our jars are ready to fill, and our jelly looks nice and liquid. I'm going to pour pot. This is the pot with the lids off the back. And I'm going to grab our rings. I'm going to actually leave our rings where they are. I have a paper towel that's damp. So what we're going to do is use the funnel. I'm just going to make sure I have a little bit of the liquid. Move my jars out of the way. We're going to leave a little headroom there. So that way so about right there is a nice spot. Nice and hot. You can fill them up each one at a time, or I'm going to go ahead and maybe fill them all, or half a dozen. You want to leave a little headroom when you're doing this, so that way when you process, it won't burst. So we take our damp paper towel, and the jars are hot, so be careful, work to the top. And you just want to make sure you don't have any jelly on the top. Take my little handy tool. These are hot lids, and then our screw top. And you just want to hand twist it. Don't twist it too hard, because the canning process does allow the air to come out of the lids, so you don't want to over twist. And I have found that out the hard way with my canning of tomatoes. If you ever can tomatoes, which I'm hoping to be able to teach you this year, you definitely don't want to over twist the lid. You want to seal it, but you don't want to twist so hard that air can't get through. So these are all new jelly jars. I have used, you can use them year to year. That's fine, but do check them for any kind of break at the top of your jar or a little crack. Anything that is damaged will break in your canner, and then you'll lose just that jar. After you pull your other items out, you'll just wipe the jars down, the exterior of the jars down. It won't damage the fruit or the vegetables that are in your canner. The lids have to be new every year. You have to buy fresh, new lids. Everything else can be reusable. The jars are reusable, the screw tops are reusable, but the lids are not reusable. I'm gonna have more than my canner can actually hold. But since we're only processing for 10 minutes, I think we'll be okay. The canner is hot. It's boiling, rolling boil. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. When you're canning, I recommend you always have socks and sneakers on, because this is hot boiling water, and I have known people that have, when you're taking the lid off, it might splatter, burn your legs, burn your feet. So always, try to wear pants and sneakers, socks and shoes. So I'm just filling my canner. I put the rack in. Just gonna try to level it out here. Maybe I can fit them all since they're smaller jars. You don't have to have the canner. You don't have to have the little thing to put the jars in. Does it make it a lot easier? Yes. But when we were kids, my grandparents would come over and they would have an outside fire. They would start a fire and they would bring a big metal tub and fill it with water. And we would can our tomatoes and peaches, I think, too. But I definitely remember tomatoes being canned outside and over an open fire. So I'm just lowering that down. You have to have 2 inches, 1 to 2 inches of cover. So we have to just let that return to a boil. Once that returns to a gentle boil, which it looks like it almost wants to start boiling now, we'll put the timer on for 10 minutes and then we'll pull the jelly off. So our jam has processed for about 10 minutes. The timer is just about ready to go off. I did want to let you know that I had said before that you needed to fill your canner to about 3/4, and then honestly, you could have probably gone another inch or so lower than that, because it is jelly versus jelly jars are smaller than plain or quart jars, so you don't need it as quite as filled. I'm going to use my pot holder to lift this lid just because it is very hot. And now I'll use my little tool and we'll pull out our processed jelly or jam. So what you do, whenever you're canning, we let that sit out overnight for, they usually say 24 hours. And then you check the top of your lid to make sure that it's concave. As the jar cools, it sucks the lid in and it creates that seal. If it does not seal, then you're going to want to put that in the refrigerator and just use that fresh. And I believe, I would say 1 year for your jelly, but you could probably extend it out a little bit, how long it's good, the shelf life for it. Already you can hear one of them pop, that's sealed. That pop sound, yeah. It was right here, this one. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this edition of What's Cooking at GCLS. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And if you would, leave a comment and let us know what you thought of homemade jelly, making homemade jelly. And thanks so much. Have a great day.